You know, we've been talking so much about presidential elections and the role that media plays and the role the political parties play and in elections in general. But what we haven't done is taken a look at the role that money plays. And I think that it's a very important topic that we need to look at very intentionally in terms of the role and function of the campaign finance apparatus. It's quite controversial, and it continues to become more and more controversial as history has kind of rolled on. So let's take a look. Let's dive right into that pile of money that is the political campaign season. Much of the money that's spent in the political process is, of course, spent on airtime, ads, radio ads, postcards, mailings, email communications, whatever the case is. They want to get their message out to voters. And that is often a negative message about the other candidate. And so we talk then about mudslinging, and that's that use of negativity. Some politicians say they're going to remain positive through the campaign, but of course there's a lot more bang for your buck when we talk about negative campaign ads. Negative campaign ads are more interesting, they're more engaging, they're more memorable, and so it's de facto it becomes the best political campaign tactic to use those negative campaign ads. Now, what we need to look at, though, to start is how much money are we talking about? In the 2012 presidential campaign, and this information comes from the New York Times website, you can see how much was raised by Barack Obama and the Democrats and how much was raised by Mitt Romney. And typically we say that the person who spends the most is most likely to win. You'll see that that isn't the case here, but certainly the person who raised the most money typically ends up winning. But if you take all of those those numbers together, we're really talking about $2 billion, over $2 billion that was raised and spent by two people in a political campaign. And so we've got candidates that are looking to raise over $2 billion just in the 2016 presidential campaign themselves. So the money keeps flowing freer and freer and freer at more and more at higher levels as we go on in this political system. So where does that money for the campaign come from? It doesn't come from the personal candidate's bank account, although at the start of a campaign it certainly might. But when we're talking about any sort of election, for the president in particular, we're talking about a lot of money being funneled in. From that same New York Times website, we can find the following information. You can see that we've got the top spenders for and against candidates. What's listed here is spending against Barack Obama versus spending against Romney or for Romney. But of particular note is also the candidate donors. You are allowed only give a maximum of $2,500 to campaigns. And it's fundamentally important to look at the difference in the number of people, the percentage of people that gave to the Democrats at the max of $2,500 versus Republicans. Largely, the campaign donations from Democratic side tend to be under the $200 mark, whereas the majority in the Republican side tend to be over the $200 mark. And I think that is, again, a significant part of the demographics of both parties. Now, I mentioned just briefly limits, and the limits are complicated, but I just want you to pay attention to a couple of pieces. Let's look at the individual across this spectrum here. An individual can give a maximum of $2,700 per candidate, a maximum of $5,000 per year to a political action committee, $10,000 to a district and local party, and $33,000 to the national party committee. And all total, they can give additional national party committee accounts $100,000 per account per year. Now, if we're talking about, a candidates committee, well, they can give other candidates 2,000, and there's unlimited transfers that they can give. All of these numbers tend to be confusing. The key part here, though, is how do we get outside of this, and how do we get outside of these rules? And that's where the role of super PACs come in. Now we need to give a little bit more information, right? So some general rules of campaign finance. There's 5 things that we kind of need to define. The Federal Elections Commission was created in 1975 to regulate campaign finance. So all of these rules and regulations emerged from the Federal Election Commission. In the case Buckley versus Vallejo, the Supreme Court in 1976 said that there's no limit to the amount of money that a candidate can spend on a campaign, but there are limits placed on donations that can be made to a candidate's campaign directly, and those limits are constitutional. Corporations and labor unions are not permitted to make contributions directly to candidates. However, because of Citizens United, they are now allowed to make unlimited contributions to super PACs. We used to define money in the campaign as hard money versus soft money. Hard money contributions are those that have strict legal limits. It's the $2,500 you can give to a candidate, whereas soft money contributions are those that are unregulated and don't have limits, like money you could give to a political action committee or things like that. Contributions made to candidates and PACs do have strict limits, whereas those to 527s or 501c advocacy groups do not. Those are contributions that do not have limits in this case. So there's a lot of rules and a lot of case law and a lot of pieces that go into understanding this, but we have to have that basic understanding in order to answer the question, is this safe? Is this good? Is this healthy? Is this free speech within our democracy? So let's take a couple of visuals. If we take a look at political action committees, an individual contributor can donate money to a political action committee at a maximum of $5,000 per year. You can have any number of contributors into this, and the political action committee then can donate to candidates, can donate to state party committees, can donate to the national party committee, and or can buy TV and radio ads. So you have limits on individual contributors, but those PACs can then give money to those different organizations. They funnel, they filter this in a way. If we look at 527s, which is a tax organization, they function very much like a political action committee in the sense that they can buy TV and radio ads, they can campaign, they just can't give directly to candidates, they can't give directly to parties, but boy, they can buy commercial airtime because the individual contributors, there is no limit on the amount of money that they can contribute to a 527 tax organization. So we're talking about the soft money, we're talking about the unlimited contributions now that can be used in the political process. And if we look at a super PAC, what's different about a super PAC is that there's no limit on the amount of money that individuals, corporations, businesses, and unions can contribute to super PACs. So when we look at 527s, it's individuals giving that amount of money. When we look at super PACs, it's companies, corporations, businesses, unions, which previously have not been a part of our system. One of the key problems that we look at in this case now is when we see 527s, when we see super PACs, these donors become anonymous for a period of time, especially before the election. Now there are reporting times, but 527s in particular, these issue advocacy organizations, they don't have to report their donors until they begin reporting, which sometimes is after the election. So we could have any unlimited amount of donors and unlimited amount of dollars donated, and these donors remain anonymous. If our democracy is about transparency, that's something that we might need to consider, right? Because we have to know who these anonymous donors might be and what their political interests might be and how they are attempting to manipulate politicians. Something to consider.
It's morning again in America.
Sadly, the American dream is dead.
Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history.
People need to work longer hours.
I don't think the minimum wage law works.
They've just got really lame ideas, things like the minimum wage.
This afternoon, 6,500 young men and women will be married.
I don't think I've ever used the word gay rights.
You think being gay is a choice?
Absolutely.
Why do you say that?
Because a lot of people who go into prison straight, and when they come out, they're gay.
And with inflation at less than half of what it was just 4 years ago, they can look forward with confidence to the future.
We need to increase the retirement age.
We need to figure out a way to phase out this program.
These programs actually weakened us as a people.
It's morning again in America.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
Well, I'm not sure we need $500 million for women's health issues.
You don't favor a rape and an incest exception.
I have never said that, and I have never advocated that.
Our country is prouder.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
I'm for profiling. I'm a lot more concerned about checking people out that make me nervous.
Why would we ever want to return to where we were?
Ever wonder how Hillary Clinton can afford so many ads? Chances are they were paid for with Wall Street cash. Hillary Clinton's gotten 54 times more money from Wall Street interests than from all of Iowa. Hillary rewarded Wall Street with the $700 billion bailout. Then Wall Street made her a multi-millionaire.
I represented Wall Street.
You sure did, Hillary. Does Iowa really want Wall Street in the White House?
The 2016 campaign trail is getting very crowded.
I am proud to announce my candidacy for President
President of the United States.
And the road to the White House has gotten really expensive.
Jeb Bush is getting a jump start on fundraising.
Raising a staggering $31 million.
Clinton stands to raise much more.
So where's all that money coming from?
Super PAC. Super PAC.
Super PAC. A lot of it is coming from super PACs, over 1,300 of them from all across the political spectrum. So what makes a super PAC, well, super? A PAC, or Political Action Committee, is a private group set up to help elect a political candidate or advance a legislative agenda. PACs can accept donations from individuals, but only up to $5,000 a year, and they can't accept cash from corporations or labor unions. But two landmark cases in 2010 changed everything and opened the floodgates for rivers of cash to stream into the political process. Citizens United and SpeechNow.org ruled that corporations, unions, and individuals can donate unlimited amounts of money to so-called super PACs, as long as they don't give that money directly to a candidate. But they can pay for things that help a candidate get elected, like robocalls, polling, data collection, and ads like these.
Romney and Ryan. If they win, the middle class loses.
Barack Obama's economy isn't working. Demand better.
The FEC requires super PACs to disclose their donors and to prove they're not working directly with the campaign. That's why super PAC ads never end like this.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
But like this.
Priorities USA.
Restore Our Future is responsible for the content of this message.
Supporters of super PACs agree with the Supreme Court. They say that giving money to help a candidate get elected is an expression of our right to free speech. But opponents say the rise of super PACs is an expression of something else altogether. Big money and candidates are too close for comfort.
Republican Party and too many Democrats who are receiving huge amounts of money from big money interests end up representing those people rather than the middle class.
In 2012, super PACs raised and spent over $600 million, chump change compared to what's expected for 2016. The sky's the limit for super PACs, and you can see that with the skyrocketing cost of running for president. Bill Clinton spent $42.5 million back in 1996. Hillary Clinton's campaign is reportedly raising $2 billion. Since campaign finance reform can't seem to get any traction and big money won't be getting out of politics anytime soon, when it comes to the role super PACs play in the race for president, at least you can say, now I get it.
So we come to the end about super PACs, and we come to the end about 527s. We come to the end about campaign donations. But I want you to ask yourself, what do you think? Are these good for our democracy? Are they okay? Are they fundamentally in line with freedom of speech that's protected in the First Amendment? Are these healthy for our democracy? Do these bring about the end of political parties? Do we no longer need the political apparatus that parties provide in terms of fundraising and resources and connections? Or are 527s and PACs and super PACs and now all of these tax designations the new normal within our system? That's what we want you to think about. Let's take a look at what some professors have to say about the role of each of these. You can find those videos on my website to get you started on the questions you need to consider.